Let me say something that might sting a little. Our generation is obsessed with speed. We're talking, how fast can I grow? How fast can I get to this milestone? How fast can I achieve this? How fast can I make $1 million? But here's the truth. How fast you're moving is completely irrelevant if you're growing in the wrong direction. Speed feels productive, but it can also be a distraction, because if you're sprinting towards the wrong thing, all you're doing is getting lost faster. In this episode, I want to show you why clarity, deep, thoughtful clarity, is infinitely more valuable than speed. Clarity is what gives your movement meaning. Clarity is what turns your effort into progress. And without it, you're just running with no finish line in sight. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to another edition of the Many Roads Podcast. I'm your host, Oba Okusanya, and I want to talk to you today about exactly why clarity is more important than speed. I want to unpack with you and talk to you today about why it's more important that you're headed in the right direction than the speed at which you are going. You know, I'll start off on this note. A while ago, when I began my creative journey, other than music, for those of you who know, I've been a musician for over 10 years, but I had never done anything remotely creative outside of music. So I like to think that my creative journey started when I decided to be a creator on the internet, right? So creators, an influencer, or whatever you call it. For me, that journey started with posting on LinkedIn. And this started, looking back now, it was a great decision because it helped me understand and find my passion for writing. Not even find, rediscover is how I would put it, my passion for writing. But looking back now, I was so focused on, I just need to crank out the content. I need to just, how fast can I get whatever it is that I was trying to achieve? How fast can I build a business out of LinkedIn? How fast can I, sort of make some sort of business out of posting and all these other things? And there was a lot of speed because, frankly, to me, it felt like, hey, if this is what somebody's telling you to do, and you could just do it faster, hey, you get the results in half the time, right? Is what I thought. But a piece that I was missing was the clarity. And of course, goes to say, a lot of that didn't yield anything much. There was no concrete idea, business, or whatever that came out from that experience. And eventually I stopped. But that experience taught me that speed is not everything. That it's actually much more important that you find clarity in your thoughts, clarity in whatever it is that you're doing. It's more important that you find that clarity than you focus on speed. Like, the goal is not worth having, you know, if it's not what you actually intended, it's not what you were hoping for. Like, how fast you get there is not really important. It's not worth it. How fast you get there is irrelevant if the thing that you're aiming for is not the thing you actually need. You know what I mean? So anyways, let's get into it. The first thing that I want to point out when it comes to why clarity is more important than speed is the fact that clarity gives you direction. There is nothing as frustrating as someone who is going nowhere fast. I don't know if you've ever met somebody like this who, every time you talk to them, they're like, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I have this idea and I have this idea, and they have so much on the go and they're executing on these things. It's not like they're lazy people. No, they're executing on these things and they're doing all these things, but there's no clarity to what they're doing. So the thing about clarity is, without clarity, you don't have direction, you know. And I like to think about it this way. It's like you're driving. I want you to picture yourself in a Ferrari, you know, or in a Porsche, a 911, and you're driving, convertible, whatever it is. You're driving and it's 120 kilometers per hour. Like, it's kind of fast. I mean, you could even push it to 140, right? If you're driving on the autobahn in Germany, there's no speed limit. I would look forward to trying that. But I want you to imagine yourself driving 140 kilometers an hour, and it's a great experience. It's a great, the wind is in your hair, and like it's just an amazing experience all around. But you don't know where you're going, and all of a sudden it's foggy. In that moment, do you speed up? Do you put your foot to the pedal while you're trying to figure out where you're going? No. We intuitively know to slow down when we're trying to figure out where we're going. However, even though we do that in driving, a lot of people don't do that when it comes to real life. I'm talking about you're just blazing down this goal that you have that you haven't even decided to get clarity on. And instead of taking the time and pausing and slowing down to try to figure out your next steps, you're so committed to the show of productivity by the speed that you've gathered that you don't want to stop or pause. And this is not advice that's common because everybody just tells you, keep going. But sometimes it's important that you pause and you take account and take stock of whatever it is that you're doing and look around and get more clarity on whatever it is that you're doing. So that's the thing. Clarity gives you direction. The next thing I want to point out is the fact that clarity helps you focus your efforts. Remember the example that I gave earlier of somebody who's working on so many things and that feels like productivity to them and they're executing on all these things and it feels great because they feel like they're doing so much. But if we look at the results, there's little to no results. Or there's little to no indication that there will be results. Because, yes, I know people say don't look at the numbers, but the numbers tell a story. If you watch my episode with Dimeji, and I'm going to put that up here, I think, he talks about how numbers tell a story and the numbers don't lie. The numbers tell you exactly what's going on. Now, if you're somebody who is just doing so much and you're not paying attention to the numbers, you're lacking clarity, right? But that's an aside. The focus right here now is, no pun intended, clarity gives you focus. It allows you to focus your efforts on the thing that you've set your heart on to do, right? A lot of people have too many goals. And I'll be honest, I was just like that. I was just like that until recently. I would say until the last two years, actually until the last year is when I've become a little bit more sort of focused in terms of, okay, this is what I want. But that focus didn't come until I took the time to get some clarity. And we're going to walk through 3 steps that I think anyone can apply, no matter where they are, to sort of get clarity on whatever it is that they're going through, right? But that's another point. Clarity brings focus. It allows you to focus your efforts. The third thing I want to point out here is that clarity allows you to gain expertise. One of the benefits of being able to focus on one thing for a long period of time is that you gain expertise. You become an expert. And that's exciting because that opens the door for all of us to become experts if we're just able to focus and pick one thing. If you have the clarity on whatever it is that you're doing, you're able to sit with this thing and become an expert at it. A lot of people talk about the 10,000 hour rule, the idea that it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert, to master something. That doesn't come about if you're not focused. That doesn't come about if you don't have clarity on whatever it is that you're doing. So I you know, it's very important that you find a way, you find the clarity that you need to make sure that you're able to sit with this one thing and be focused. And that in turn leads you to gaining expertise. And the honest truth is, when you become clear on whatever it is that you're doing, when you become clear on your vision, when you become clear on whatever it is that you plan to do, you're able to invest a whole lot more. See, there's the part of the human mind that knows inside, like in your heart of hearts, if you truly believe something or you don't. You know. And if you're doing something that subconsciously, deep down in your heart, you know you don't believe in, you won't invest your all. You won't give it your all. So by taking the time to actually get more clarity on whatever it is that you're doing, you're giving yourself the ability to invest your all into it. And of course, that's going to go further because you're able to do more. You're able to give more into it. You're able to pour more into it, right? So that clarity gives you a better understanding internally of whatever it is that you're doing, and you get that from being deeply committed, and you're able to do more, right? So clarity brings expertise. I love a good sports example or sports analogy, right? And one that comes to mind when it comes to the fact that clarity brings expertise is Olympians. I know I'm always talking about Olympians, but I am fascinated by their world. Olympians don't train for multiple sports at the same time. Can you imagine an Olympian who was training to be a cyclist, but also training to be a swimmer, and also training to throw a shot put, also training to be in rugby, uh, and also wanted to be an archer and fire arrows? Like, it sounds like a whole bunch of confusion, but unfortunately, that's what some of us look like on the outside. We have all these goals that are so disconnected, and we've never taken the time to pause to find clarity, right? So clarity brings expertise. Did you know that over 70% of you who watch this podcast are not subscribed? Some people have even told me they were shocked when they realized they were not subscribed yet. So if you're enjoying this and you're back for more, I would love for you to take 2 seconds and hit the subscribe button. It's completely free, and honestly, it's the best way for you to support all that we're building here at the Many Roads. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, join our community, and let's keep growing together. Now I want to go straight into three things that you can do today to find clarity, regardless of whatever it is that's going on. If you're thinking number one is start with why, you guessed right. Number one is start with why. Why has to be the biggest foundational unlock for everything you're doing. It has to be the starting point. Um, what you're doing cannot be the starting point. How you're going to do it cannot be the starting point. The why is it. The why dictates how all of that unfolds and what all of that will be. So it always makes sense to start with why. And of course, I'm going to reference Simon Sinek's Start With Why. It's a great book that I believe anyone who's trying to build anything or achieve anything in life or do anything substantial or just put something out into the world, from an idea to convert that into something that's out into the world, it's a great book that I feel everyone should read. I'll probably put a link to that in the comments, in the description, actually. But yeah, start with why. It's very important that you know exactly why you're doing the things you're doing. It's important that you take the steps to find out why you're doing what you're doing, because you gain so much clarity on whatever it is that you're doing. So for instance, let's say somebody wants to start a not-for-profit, a soup kitchen. Why would you do that? Are you doing that because you're bored? Are you doing that because it sounds cool to do? Are you doing that because that's the trend that's in? Whatever it is that you're doing, are you doing that because it's going to look great from the outside? Are you doing that because you're subconsciously seeking the approval of others? Why are you doing what you're doing? And one of the things that I want to point out when it comes to starting with why is, if your why is simply motivated by money, simply motivated by things that are not, how do I put this delicately? If your why is simply motivated by the material things, you won't always be passionate about what you're doing, because your why has to start from a deeper place in your heart, a deeper place in your being, right? So your why can't be, oh, I just want people to recognize me and celebrate me. Like, it's a decent why, to be honest with you, but like, hey, I'm not knocking you down if that's your why. But what happens when people don't? You know what I mean? What happens when people don't celebrate you the way you thought they would celebrate you? Do you quit at that point? But if your why is, I just really want to help people, it's not really going to matter if you help 2 people or you help 2,000 people. because your why was, I want to help people, right? So starting with why, knowing exactly why you're doing what you're doing is a great way to find clarity. And in the case where you have multiple options, knowing why you would pick each option is a great way to compare and to sort of figure out what direction to go in. So start with why. Which brings me to number two, options. I want you to assess your options. Another way to gain clarity is to assess your options. For instance, let's say someone who's working in a job, they've been there for 4 years and they feel like they kind of feel stuck. What are the options? Ask yourself, what if? One thing I love to do all the time is play the what if game. And don't do this excessively, but all I'm saying is this. Consider what if, you know, you leave this job and go to the next one. Consider what if you start a new project and it takes off. Consider what if you moved to a new place and things become better, right? Consider what if. Consider what are the alternatives? What are the options that I have? Another way to gain clarity is to always consider what if? What else could happen? What are the what other options do I have? If there's something that you're doing that you're not sure of, like you don't have clarity on it in terms of, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Ask yourself, okay, if this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, what am I supposed to be doing? What are the other options? What if there's something else you're supposed to be doing? Consider that. By opening up your mind to other options, you kind of help yourself to see the possibilities in other things. And in some cases, you also help yourself to understand that you're supposed to stick to the thing that you're currently doing. Like the search for clarity is not a license to abandon what you're doing, and it's not a license to sort of give up or give in. No, no, no. What we're saying is gain the clarity so you can even double down on what you're doing if that's the case. But one way to find clarity is to consider other alternatives, consider other options. If you go with option A, what does it look like? If you go with option B, what does that look like? That's a great way to consider, to gain clarity rather. And the third way that I strongly believe you can gain clarity on whatever it is you're doing is to seek wise counsel, is to seek wise advice. And I want to start off by saying this. Not every advice that you get is wise. Not every advice, not every opinion that you receive is wise. That's why I qualified this point by saying seek wise advice. And the wisdom that I'm talking about comes from people who have been in a similar position at some point in time. People who have been at the very crossroads that you're at, but they made a decision already. People who have walked the walk and talked the talk. You know what I mean? People who have walked a similar path. Those are the people that you should go talk to ask, hey, I'm thinking about this, but I'm not too clear on it. What do you think? They're able to give you a perspective. They're able to offer you opinions and thoughts and insights into whatever it is that you're thinking about doing or whatever it is, because they've walked the path. And, this is something that I find and I'm so excited about the fact that people in their 40s, 50s, I'm starting to see creators on the internet who are in their 40s and 50s, and they're giving out so much free game because for young people like us, it's a cheat code to be able to tap into the knowledge of somebody who is years ahead of you, somebody who has walked the path that you are currently walking, somebody who has figured out the thing that you're currently trying to figure out. That like that's amazing. You get to gain a lot of clarity by asking for advice from those kind of people. And this is not even about age, because there might be somebody who's younger than you who's walked the path that you're just about to embark on. And you have to understand that by them having that experience, they have the ability to help you. You have to recognize that potential difference and sort of say, you know what? This person has something that I need, and go ask for advice. One of the things that I love to do, honestly, is to send DMs. I don't care who you are. I'll send you a DM. The worst case is you don't respond. You leave me on red. Okay, great. But then, what if they respond? That's also the what if game that brought that back, right? But all I'm trying to say is this: seek wise advice. One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible talks about how in the multitude of counsel there is safety. Like literally by surrounding yourself with godly counsel, by surrounding yourself with wisdom, by surrounding yourself with like strong sort of advice, tested advice, you're safe, right? One of the best things you can do is to surround yourself with people who know what they're talking about, people who are worth their salt, people who have walked the path, like I said before, and get advice from them, right? So, 3 ways to gain clarity. Start with why, assess your options, and seek wise advice. And before I sort of tie all of this up in a lovely bow and get out of your way, right? I want to say this, and I sort of hinted at it. I talked about it a little bit at some point, but I want to say this: the time it will take for you to stop and gain clarity on whatever it is you're doing, you will gain it back. Because, and I can speak from my heart when it comes to this. One of the things that I struggle with is taking the time to assess where I am, because I feel like by taking that time off, I'm taking my foot off the pedal, I'm pumping the brakes a little. I kind of feel like I'm losing out. I kind of feel like, oh, the whole world is going past me, in this fictional race that I'm in, right? You kind of feel like, oh yeah, like if I take 2-3 months off to try to figure this thing out, like, oh, that's so much lost time. Dare I say this? The speed, the progress, the results that you will get from being clear on what you're doing is much better, is far greater, is more rewarding than the time it'll take you to gain that clarity. So I say all that to say this: please take the time to gain clarity on whatever it is that you're doing. I understand that everybody wants to feel productive. I do as well. But that productivity is not important. It's not as important as you gaining the clarity. Because like I said at the beginning of all of this, what is the point of you running with so much effort, with so much, intensity, but you're running nowhere? You're running in a direction that's not actually where you want to end up in. It's pointless. It's a waste of time, right? So that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment, send me a message, send me a DM, connect with us, and subscribe to the Minerals channel if you're already not. But follow it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. It's been great hanging with you all, and till next time, God bless.